Alright, ask Reddit thread. Reddit, what was your "it's totally not a phase, mom" that ended up just being a phase? Basically, what did you, what ended up being a phase when you were a teenager? That phase where I worshiped 1970s slash 1980s music and refused to listen to anything else. I was born in the wrong generation, etc. Oh my god. Oh, I have a friend who's like this. Ditto. I would wear ripped skinny dreams, Converse brightly colored socks, and a band t-shirt. I was obsessed with Guns N' Roses. I'm still a big fan of 70s slash 80s classic rock, but not nearly as bad. I think she's even used the same line before. Do you ever feel like you were born in the wrong generation? Oh my god. Yeah, me too. Of course, I really was 13 in the 80s. In 1987, I was 12. First concert, Motley Crue was big because of Girls, Girls, Girls. GNR opened for them in my hometown. No one had any idea who these guys were. I don't even remember Crue sets. Guns N' Roses existed along with Star Trek TNG during the formative years of my life. I ain't mad at all. Man, I just messed up reading all of that. I thought I was setting a new fashion by multiple copies of the same clothes. I always looked the same, just like a cartoon characters. Jeans, an open black button-down short-sleeved shirt over a t-shirt, a giant floppy white sun hat. Combined with my long hair, I'd have made at least a passably dressed girl if not for the fact that I was in fact male. I still find black button-down shirts in old boxes. That's so funny to me. Everyone had a goth face, a skater face. You had a cartoon character face. Can you post a picture of this? Calling my parents to see the picture of it lying around. Understandably, I don't keep pictures of this phase around my house. Here is the horror. What are you talking about? He looks like he's the same thing. I kid you not. Oh wait, I had to change. Need a lighter shirt for hiking. The worst part about this picture is that this is the one that all of my relatives have hanging around their houses of me and my brothers. Wait, what's the last one say? I kid you not, I even wore the same thing during doing relief projects in the slums of Brazil. One of the guys I worked with drew me on my name tag. They called me Chapo Branco. Oh. Huh. That hat is just so awful. I know. I can't believe I thought I looked good. I must have just been an idiot. I mean, that's definitely not the most coolest thing in the world, but I don't think it looks that bad. Although if you wear that same thing every day purposefully, I see how that'd be a little weird. I wasn't going to college. I was just going to be a rock star. A big hair-wearing, spandex-sporting, guitar-playing rock star. Spoiler, I'm not a rock star. Chang. The world just wasn't ready for an Asian man on guitar. Guitar, isn't that like the keyboard guitar? I developed a way of talking when I was in a sorority that my family made fun of. It's a little hard to describe, but think like an extremely toned down version of that Let's Get Some Shoes YouTube video. I swore up and down that I wasn't talking any different, that it was just the way I normally sounded. Looking back, I 100% talked differently and 100% deserved to be made fun of. Oh, that's funny. I don't know how. Let's see. Let's Get Some Shoes. I might look that up later. Let's upload. That's where I remember. I wanted to be a rapper for a couple of years. My friends and I freestyled, smoked blunts, and drank 40s all the time. We're white and from a very affluent town. Oh, the goth phase. I actually ran across an old black lipstick not long ago. I would never wear it again, but I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. That phase lasted far longer than I thought it would. I mean, it lasted 10 years. I can relate. The big plus of being goth was getting dressed every day was super easy. I would usually go with black jeans and a black band t-shirt, or a slightly darker than black band t-shirt. Slightly darker than Black Woodhouse. I need you to organize these turtlenecks from lightest to darkest. They're all black, sir. Damn it, Woodhouse. uh, 15 years ago, my goth phase, I've matured to I like spooky things. As in, I have 3 rooms full of Halloween decorations, a hearse, a coffin, but I also have mortgages, a slow cooker, and colorful guest towels. One summer somewhere, around season 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer airing, and me getting internet access for the first time, I decided that I was going to become dark and mysterious and become a witch. I started exercising my religious freedom by burning shitloads of candles in my room and making a Book of Shadows, a purple ring binder with a lopsided homemade tinfoil pentagram glued on the front, and spells that I copied down off the Angel Fire page of some clearly mentally ill person. I decided to form a coven, which consisted of me, some goth boy who wore the same Cradle of Filth t-shirt every day and smelled like wet dog, and a really angry girl with a cherry red hair dye that was constantly smearing all over her neck and ears. Our one and only coven meeting involved us watching The Craft while taking notes for inspiration, then getting into a shitload of trouble from my mom for pouring table salt all over the carpet to make magic circle of protection while we were doing spells. I was also a vegan for life. Well, for a whole month, except for when my mom took me to Burger King, obviously. It's been 15 years and I still can't smell incest without feeling an acute wave of shame. I'm getting very giddy thinking about some teenagers very seriously taking notes while watching The Craft. The Craft. What the hell is The Craft? I need to look this up. The Craft. After transferring to Los Angeles High School, Sarah finds that her teleconnected gifts appears to group 3 wannabe witches who happen to be seeking a 4th member for their rituals. Oh man, I took The Craft so seriously. My cousin and I tried so hard to perform the light as a feather, stiff as a board spell on my toy doll, and I was convinced it was all her fault it wasn't working because she wasn't true witch like me. I would lay in bed and try some things just by looking at them. I would lay in bed and try move things just by looking at them, when lo and behold, the patterns on my wall started to move. Later on in life, I realized it was just my eyes focusing and unfocusing. My cousin and I rented The Craft from Blockbuster, and we had a craft-induced Wiccan phase. At the end of that summer, she was like, I love Jesus, he's real, and I need to repent. But I stubbornly stayed with it for almost 2 years. 2 years full of lonely, watch me bend the spoon with my mind, listen to me sing a self-composed song to the fairies cringe. Oh god. I kind of wish I did stuff like that when I was little. That way I could have embarrassing stories to tell. The best I got is I went through a shy phase in middle school. Otherwise, I was always outgoing and had lots of friends. Skateboarding. Thought I was going to be the next Tony Hawk. My mom told me I'd just hurt myself and give it up. But she reluctantly bought me a board anyways. A broken wrist and a few stitches in my head later, and I no longer skateboard. Everyone hurts themselves skateboarding. My wrists and ankles to this day click from skateboarding. But now and again, I still do it. It's still fun. Wait, wrists and ankles click from skateboarding? My wrists and ankles... No, not my wrist. My knees and ankles click like crazy from football. I can never sneak anywhere because my body makes too much noise every time I walk. Playing with kites. In the 90s in Brazil, it was like pretty big deal, especially in Rio de Janeiro slums. It didn't matter the constant bleeding fingers and the 44 degrees C temperature. All I wanted was war. I remember times when there was about 50 to 100 kites in the skies battling at the same time. It was chaos. Started working, now I have money to actually buy some nice stuff, but I don't care anymore. Girls started noticing me and I forgot the whole kite thing altogether. That actually does sound like a pretty fun phase to have though. All of these seem super angsty and cringy. Not this one. It's more of an innocent child just growing up and not having time for a hobby. This is really interesting. In my oblique, limited experience with kites, other kites being around is a near guaranteed way to spend the next hour untangling lines. Yes, you're saying your dog had dog fights? Like, where would you send a kite to the ground and then look for some other sucker? They would coat their strings with glass. The goal being to cut the other player's strings and letting the kite loose. Source, read the Kite Runner. Come for kite battles, stay for the pedophilic sodomy and destruction of a nation through generations of war. For you, 1,000 times over. It's not always like that. Whenever you have way too many kites in the skies, at least that's the popular rule in Brazil, even the ones really close, you have some hint that the guys just want to fly his kite rather than fight. It's kind of complicated, not always the same for everyone. But most of the time, people prefer to have all those kites in the sky and just chill. Especially in the neighborhood I grew up with. The rule was related to time. Around 4 p.m., the no contest rule was out in the window, and if your kite was still up, everyone would assume you were down for a fight. So if you didn't want to fight, you just had to put it down before 4 p.m. Sometimes, way too many people still had their kites up and simply managed to run away if someone tried anything, which is easier to do with Brazilian models since they are built to cross the sky in a straight line really fast. I like to fight, but I would always get 1 or 2 guys and then lose mine. It was just too many people. Me and my family would stay in our roof and fly from there, so there were about 7 people in the same room flying kites, and they never tangled. If you can control them and know what you're doing, it's actually pretty hard to accidentally tangle. Unless you're walking around and not warning people that you are coming their way, so they can slide to the side or something. The biggest problem really were the weather. That was ridiculously hot. The thing we used, I don't know the name in English, that was basically glue and really tiny pieces of glass that would glue to the line, so it would cut the other lines easier. But also would cut our fingers sometimes to the bones. Ow. The coolest thing was getting to catch a kite that was floating by because someone lost a battle. It was hard, but every time you got to do it, it was amazing how everyone respected you and nobody attacked you while you were bringing it down. It was really its own culture with its own rules. That seems pretty interesting, actually. Everything that I choose to be, say, or do between the ages 12 and 18. I remember shouting, "This is who I am, Mom," about very trivial things that had nothing to do with who I was. Buys black jelly bracelets. "This is who I am, Mom." Starts drinking coffee. "This is who I am, Mom." Falls in love 3 times in a week. "This is who I am, Mom." Pierces my own lip at a friend's house. "This is who I am, Mom." I'm surprised she still likes me. Started drinking coffee at 16. This is who I am now. I started at 12 because I was really mature for my age. I'm almost 30 and I just started drinking coffee regularly about a year ago. I guess I'm a late blooming, developed delay man-child. I still can't drink it because it tastes like responsibility and hopeless dreams. Coffee is a godsend. You can add sugar to make it taste like less responsibility. Oh, I stopped drinking coffee a couple years ago because I started drinking it when I was 15 because I had to wake up at 5 o'clock every morning to go weightlift at 6. You had to be in the weight room by 6 o'clock, not in the locker room getting ready. You have to be in the weight room at 6 o'clock already lifting, or else you were going to have to run extra laps after practice. I hated it. I hated it all 4 years. I was always tired. Coffee only kept me normal after a while. Actually, I did a lot of unhealthy stuff just to keep myself awake. So many monster drinks as well that did make me crash during math class. High school. Bangs over one eye, ICP wristband, A7X leather watch on my left wrist, huge legged black jeans plus a plethora of wallet chains. No wallet. Huge black hoodie where I cut holes for my thumbs so I could wear my sleeves like a glove. Cringe. Somehow, I still had friends. Hot topic, yum. I cry when angels deserve to die. Wake up, Gerbish was something makeup. Why don't you put on a little makeup? Doing these things as a teenager is totally okay because teenagers have a right to do stupid shit like this and get away with it. It's the guys in their 30s who still do it that might have some issues. I worked with a guy in his 40s who would bust out some JNCO style jorts every now and then. It was in a warehouse, so they didn't stand out at first glance, but then I noticed a subtle purple stitching and gesture logo. I actually have a weird respect for people who still dress however the fuck they want despite their age. I see your ICP wristband and raise you an ICP backpack, watches, shirts, hoodies, wallets, and purses. Oh, can't forget the bandana tied to my leg as well. Also, can't leave out where I told the school administrators ICP is a family, not a gang. Give me your tippy toe. I had a group of Juggalo friends growing up. Thankfully, we all grew out of it. I had a friend who was a Juggalo. He really wanted me to get into ICP music. Like, I had no problem with the actual music itself. It was just when I went to his house, he would force me to listen to ICP music. Like, we'd be in his room playing games on his Xbox, and then he'd like, hold up, you need to listen to the song, and he would use his Xbox as a CD player, and we would just sit there and listen to his music song after song, and eventually I just like walked out. I was like, I don't care about music. Like, it's not bad music, it's just I'd rather not sit here and listen to music. That's not a thing I do. That's not a thing I've ever done. Music's like an extra thing you do while you're doing something else. It's not a sole project where you sit down and listen to it. At least not for me. So that kind of pushed me away from the whole ICP thing. I don't really have a problem with it. It's just my friend totally made sure I would never listen to it on my own. So I guess I can thank him for pushing me away from ICP. Being a skateboarder, I was obsessed. Was fairly certain I could become famous. Couldn't really do anything worthwhile except ollie a couple of feet and some crappy grinding. On the plus side, I lost like 50 pounds in high school because I was skating like 6 hours every single day. I was still terrible at the end, but looked good. It was a phase. Hop back on a board and fuck around. After not skating for a few years, I just started cruising around a little while ago, and it's fun as hell. Actually does kind of sound like fun. I had a skateboard when I was in 3rd grade. Obsession with Linkin Park. Also thinking I was goth. Owned a shirt that said, "Ain't nothing but a goth thing." Does that thought leave you crawling in your skin? I guess in the end, it doesn't really matter. The going country phase. I remember my aunt and uncle went country sometime in the mid-90s. A few weeks later, it was like the whole family went country. Everyone, my parents, aunts, and uncles, were suddenly going to Garth Brooks and Alan Jackson shows. Our home decor changed to Southern West style. Old wood ladders with chilies hanging from them, Cocopelli dudes all over. My parents went out and bought cowboy boots and brightly colored button-up shirts. It was nuts. I wish I had the insight at the time to call my parents out for going through a phase, but I was only about 10 at the time. I think their country phase lasted about 3 to 5 years. That does not sound good at all. My gothic phase. And I totally half-assed it, because my mom wouldn't let me dye my hair black, and I never went to school wearing the dramatic makeup. Partially because makeup in general was poser and preppy. Partially because I wasn't confident enough. But what I lacked in appearance, I made up for by drawing angsty pictures and listening to the hell out of The Cure. At any point in time, I will always think I am intelligent, mature, and a cool person. But each time I look at the past me, I always think about how dumb and cringeworthy my actions were. This is probably my only one. Weeaboo/scene/RNADOO phase when I was 10 to 14. I am so glad it was just a phase. An illustration of this period in my life. Oh my god. Kawaii desu. Haha, play him off, keyboard cat. My ideas about Japan are totally not racist and only grounded in the anime I've watched. Rar means I love you in dinosaur. Oh my god. For sure, lol. Apparently, I'm too harsh on myself for my art because I'm amazed at how many encouraging comments I've received on this. Thank you. Oh, wait, you drew that? Wow, that's pretty good. I was doing okay on this thread until random. Oh, I'm spelling out random. It's clearly not even random. There's clearly a pattern there. Wow, my 20-year-old cousin is still like that, huh? This shit is why I have to hide my anime like it's porn. Anytime a girl finds out, it's like, look, everyone's into weird shit, and this is mine, okay? I'm not going to force you to try anything you're not comfortable with, but if you're interested, we can start slow. Maybe once a week. Work your way up to the real thing. No pressure, though. Actually, surprisingly, like finding porn. right? Like you have to preface everything with, okay, it's an anime show, but there's no weird lowly harem part or the cheesy jokes that aren't funny. And the premise isn't that weird, and I can't even say that. Half the anime I watch is weird / monster girl / lowly harem anime with cheesy jokes and incredibly weird premises. Hey, I'm not saying I've never seen one of those, I'm just saying you keep that shit on the down low. Well, you don't really have to hide it or anything. I never have. It's like, yeah, I watch anime, and then I very discreetly just change the topic and don't expand on it unless they ask questions. Because usually, unless they like it as well, they don't give a shit, and they don't want to hear it. And if you expand on it further, they're not going to want to talk to you anymore. Because it's the same way if you're talking to someone else about something you don't care about. Like, say I walk up to someone and they're really into knitting. They're like, oh, yeah, I like to knit for fun. It's like, okay, so let's change the conversation because I really don't care about knitting, but you do. You'd probably talk about it for hours. That 2-year period as a child where I wanted to be a truck. Not a truck driver, mind you, just the vehicle. Optimus Prime. Who doesn't want to be Optimus Prime? Wanted to be a truck. Being a hardcore, totally life-consuming believer. Shudders. You. Looks like the twins all grew up. They've grown up already? Time flies. It's okay. I was a twihard. Throws tons of tons of Team Jacob memorabilia in a fire. For about a year or two in high school, I hated the world and everyone in it, never missed an opportunity to criticize society. I only wanted to be around intellectually stimulating people and saw everyone else as beneath me. I was pretty much the female version of a neckbeard. I cringe just thinking about it. A lot of people in here reading this may have just taken a long look in the mirror. Oh yes, teenage, when it was clearly precise what was wrong with the world and how to fix all the problems, when patience with perceived intellectual shortcomings was low, and the pedestal on which we put ourselves was high. In a nutshell, Reddit. We call that a leg beard. Oh god, me too. I watched amazing atheist videos on YouTube. Dark times. Thought I was gay. Also embraced the goth culture. Double whammy. And once the penis was in my rear end, I realized, yeah, I'm not gay. That left me in a rather awkward position, so to speak. The only question, did you at least be a bro and let them finish? Being a bro in that situation would not necessarily make the situation any better. Hopefully, that would have just been rude. A little curious how you thought you were gay, but even more curious as to how you decided you weren't. I'm actually kind of curious myself. Put a dick in your mouth. Realize it might not be what you wanted. You can be attracted to men, think they are handsome, fantasize about them, but not entirely want sexual interaction with them. Could be the other way around. Straight up love the dick, but can't stand the guy it's attached to. That's usually just called dating. If only girls could have dicks too. Penile penetration. Duh, not every gay guy has to enjoy butt stuff. Top and gay here. I hate it. Not uncommon, actually. I went through a few extreme phases. One in particular. I was a student athlete at age 14 to 18 and trained 6 to 7 days a week, most weeks. Somewhere between the age of 14 to 15, my personal trainer, 8 years older, developed feelings for me, and at the time, he was in love. He was the love of my life. Read First Love. Mom and Dad saw what was happening and nipped the shit right in the bud. And I couldn't believe they were ruining saving my life at the time. I thought I would love this guy forever, and that we were meant to be together. Now I just think of what a creep he was trying to initiate something with a 14/15-year-old girl. Gross. Second phase was a bit more fun. Somewhere between junior and senior year, I wore one single tie-dye shirt at least 5 days a week. Listened to a lot of Sublime/Slightly Stupid 311. It was super slacktivist. I could not believe my parents wouldn't finance my summer aboard to Nepal junior year. Didn't they understand this was my passion? The next year, as some sort of revenge, I studied abroad in India, of all places. They refused to pay. So I, for 3 jobs and worked my ass off to pay for it, which I did. Super awesome trip/experience, but I'll never forget my dad barging in with me to come home from India and get a real job. Bargaining with me just to come home from India and get a real job. Wait, what? I guess he was a hippie or something. Slacktivist. Edit. Looks like I'm taking some heat because of the way I was raised, as if the lifestyles of the rich and famous something. I grew up in a suburb outside of Detroit where almost everyone was hurting financially in one way, shape, or form. My dad is a real estate agent, which means there were years where he didn't make more than $20K, if that. He had to pick up a part-time job parking cars at the airport just to help support us. My mom, a nurse, worked at a private practice clinic for 27 years before they were downsized and let her go. She also worked 2 jobs, cleaning offices after work, to make sure we could have the life we did. Let's not forget that a personal trainer who is in love with me / wants to fuck me isn't charging me. He trains clients at the same gym I worked at, and would train me for free in his off hours. Not only that, but it's me who is paying... Oh, I guess someone gave him crap. I like how you can tell how old someone is by their matching phase. This is fun. The fedora I insisted on buying and wore twice. I'm a girl. My lady. Long hair, no haircuts from late teens to age 28. I could sit on it and keep shedding it in car doors. Male pattern baldness saw to that. Now I have a number 2 buzz cut and save a fortune on shampoo and conditioner. It took 9 months to get out of the habit of flicking my hair sideways whenever I put on a shirt or coat. Ugh, long hair on guys. I don't think I've ever seen anyone ever pull it off. It always just looks gross. Reddit. Help me. Paintball. Ended up a 2-time national champion before finding out it was just a phase. And an expensive one at that for a 15-year-old. But I had a blast and made some really great friends. Identifying as asexual. I was out to my school and everything turns out I was just really late boomer. Wait, identifying as asexual. I was out to my school and everything turns out I was just a really late bloomer. I cringe when I think about all the people I told and all those posts on Even. I'm 29. I'm pretty sure I'm going through just going to go the distance. People in this thread. This is me now. Obsession with MTG. Obsession with RPGs. Wait, is that Magic the Gathering? Yeah. Wearing boys' clothes exclusively. Not dating anyone. Fear of clowns. Are you dating a clown now? Environmentalism. I threw a fit over them flushing the toilet too often. They said, look, it's our house. We want to flush the toilet when we want to. We understand this is important to you, but this is how we feel about it. It was the greatest human rights abuse I'd ever witnessed in person. Oh my god. Oh shit, this is a long video. Alright, I'm just gonna cut it here.